All right, the Detroit Lions just keep making moves. They keep making moves. I got three moves for you in this video alone. One is to bolster the defensive line. Another one is to talk about what we are going to do in the linebacking core. And another one is actually a free agent that we picked up that was waived, and a player that actually has played meaningful snaps this year in the back end, and he might be able to play some meaningful snaps for the Detroit Lions as well. Before we get into that, hey, thank you for watching this channel. We love talking Lions football. The channel's been doing phenomenal lately, thanks to all of you and your watching. So I just have one question for you. Where's your favorite place to get Lions news on the internet? Like, is it Sports Talk Detroit? Feel free to shout us out. If it's somewhere else, that's fine too. Maybe are you someone who likes to read it, like to get it in print? Like, I mean, I guess not technically in print, but read it online. You someone who likes to listen? Are you a podcast person? Would you like us to start throwing these on a podcast? Would that be a more convenient way for you to listen to it? All those kinds of things. But let's get into the moves that the Lions made today. It's Wednesday. It's moving day during the week. All right, the first one is they have activated Broderick Martin from injured reserve. Many of you might remember Broderick Martin. He's the guy who just, quite frankly, hasn't panned out yet. He got hurt in preseason, and you hope that he would become that massive defensive tackle, that run-stuffing, havoc-wreaker in the run game defensive tackle for the Detroit Lions to be able to play next to a guy like Aleem McNeil, next to a guy like Levi Onwuzurike. He would be that guy. He hasn't gotten there super fast. So what we've actually gone out and done is we've gotten DJ Reader, who's, of course, a known phenomenal commodity. The reason he's back now, he was designated to return on October 31st. He got a 21-day window. So the Detroit Lions either needed to activate him to the active roster, or they would lose him for the year to IR. Now we just saw something unique with Iffy, where they brought him back to the roster, and then they put him back on, I believe, a 4-game IR stint. So these are the kind of things that we're working with. And so they actually didn't need to remove someone from the roster. They were just able to add Reader. The question is, what is he going to do for the defensive interior? The hope is that he can give some needed rest to DJ Reader and Aleem McNeil, even if he plays 15 snaps in a game. That could be a big difference going into the fourth quarter with how fresh our defense could be. I've said this before. With us not having bye weeks, all right, we had a bye week 5. And then we have to play out the rest of the year going to the playoffs. That's why I think the number 1 seed is really important, to get a bye week the first week of the playoffs, to get our guys some rest and the bodies some rest. And we have a couple teams hot on our heels. Like, it's not going to be easy to do. But if you don't do that, you need to be able to get your players rest in games. Playing games like we just did, where players were able to rest for the fourth quarter. It's really helpful. All right, we've had actually a few of those this year somehow. That never happens in the NFL. But also having that depth, so you can have guys like, like Broderick Martin that can come in and play that spot, and that can be super, super helpful. All right, that's not the only one. Eric Schlitt on Twitter. By the way, we have Twitter, Sports Talk Detroit. You can get all of our stuff there as well, so feel free to follow us on Twitter. Eric Schlitt says the Lions keep 6 linebackers active on game days. That's what they do standard. And I think a lot of that is because linebackers are really versatile in special teams and things like that, and because there's a good chance they'll get hurt. He said, and only have 5 on the active roster, likely meaning either Abraham Beauplan or David Long Jr. will be elevated this week. So we talked about kind of the lack of depth at the linebacker position in the last video that I did, and I talked about, just how the Lions needed to find some depth, find some good veteran players, something, and they did. They went out and got David Long Jr., who, look, he's not going to be a game changer or wrecker in any way, shape, or form, but he's a guy that if you need him to go out there and play meaningful snaps, he can do it. I think of David Long Jr. as kind of like the Jalen Reeves-Maben type of mold, where it's like, no, he's not like ridiculous, right? But he's not going to really hurt you tremendously or anything like that. So Abraham Beauplan played well in the preseason, so I'm not sure what they're thinking on that, but that's going to be another call-up, another move that the Detroit Lions are going to make. And then a move that most people didn't see, they added a safety to the practice squad. They added a safety to our practice squad and cut another. So Broderick Martin got brought in. And here's what the Detroit Lions did. They bring in Broderick Martin. He's been activated. But also they cut safety Eric Hallett. We really haven't seen him this year from the practice squad, and replaced him with free agent safety Kayvon Merriweather. So who is Kayvon Merriweather? I'm so happy you asked. Kayvon Merriweather is a safety out of Iowa. We know how much Brad Holmes loves safeties out of Iowa. Or not just safeties, just players out of Iowa. He likes Iowa players. He likes Alabama players. They're good programs. And Kayvon Merriweather came out and as an undrafted rookie last year for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, actually carved out a role where he was getting pretty consistent play time toward the back half of the year, which is crazy. And he ended up playing, 81 coverage snaps. He ended up playing 73 run snaps, and then he rushed the passer 5 times. So he's a guy that actually got into play if you need him in a pinch. I'm going to talk about why that's important. But before that, I'm going to talk about what's even more important about him. He has already played 200 special team snaps for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the 9 games that he has appeared in. I think it's 9 games that he's appeared in. And he's received an 80 PFF special teams grade in the process of doing that. All right, so 900 or 200 snaps on special teams. This year, he played special teams in in 16 games. He played special teams. It's not all because we have 17-game seasons now. He played special teams in every one of those. Don't be surprised if he's someone that gets a tackle in the next few weeks on a special teams play or something like that, and you're like, who is that? I've never heard of that guy in my life. But he makes a tackle on a special teams play. Kayvon Merriweather absolutely can be that guy. He's not a ridiculous athlete, but he's well coached. He comes in ready to play special teams and also can be someone on the back end. We really were looking at our safety room, and now that Iffy was brought back but then put back on the IR for at least 4 weeks, where you have Joseph, you have Branch, then you have other Joseph, but there's nothing back really behind that. Iffy was going to be the number 3 that was going to play probably pretty consistently, so they're already down him. If another player gets hurt, all of a sudden we're in a spot where it's like, ooh, we're 1 or 2 injuries away from being in serious trouble. So getting a guy like him, hopefully nobody gets injured anytime soon. He can understand the scheme, the system, what we're trying to accomplish here, and then he can turn that into something good. So anyways, there you go. There's all the info that you need to know. The Detroit Lions keep making moves. They bolster their defensive front by bringing someone back, and we'll kind of go from there. All right, thanks so much for watching. See you in the next one.